Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome in. We're back. The High School Fan Zone makes its 2025-26 debut on this wonderful Monday night with the weather starting to feel a little bit like fall maybe. I am Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score. As I mentioned, the High School Fan Zone is back. We've juggled the lineup a little bit. We're going to run through that and talk about what's coming up this first week of the high school football season. This is almost like Christmas for high school football fans. Maybe not quite. I guess if you're playing at Christmas time, that's even better. Maybe not, because usually the season's over by Christmas. So we are going to look at the schedule for these 3 nights of the week from now until Thanksgiving. Monday nights are going to start out at 6 p.m. with Estacado, followed at 6:30 by Memorial, the newest kid on the block, the new Friendship School out on 43rd and Upland. 7 o'clock on Mondays will be Liberty, so that we kind of have this as a 4A night for now. Memorial's a 4A team in their first season. Tuesday night will be Monterey at 6 p.m., followed by Coronado at 6:30, just 2 schools that night. Wednesday night will be Lubbock High at 6 p.m., Friendship at 6:30, Lubbock Cooper at 7 p.m. I'll repeat that a few more times this week until we kind of get the pattern down. We're just joined right now by Estacado coach Eric Ward. Eric, how are you? I'm
doing well. How you doing?
Second-year coach Eric Ward. How's that sound? I mentioned that to you the other day.
I mean, it still seems unreal, but, you know, it's more settled now.
Much more comfortable second-year coach Eric Ward. We talked about this a bunch last year, Eric. I thought it was amazing what you and your coaches did with that team after. Remind me when you got the job.
June, late June.
Late June.
Yes,
when
sir.
Did you meet your entire team?
The first day of school.
First day of school. So that's to not even know all of your guys yet, and you sputtered a little bit early, which is totally understandable under those circumstances, but started clicking all of a sudden, and your guys found their rhythm.
Yes, sir.
I was very proud of what you guys did. Finished 7-5. Got to the second round of the playoffs. Ran into a pretty good Brock team. I looked this up today. Brock went ahead and finished as a state semifinal team. So you wound up getting beat by a pretty dang good team.
Yes, sir.
You start out this week, Friday night, on the road at Jim Ned, which is a team that went 3 rounds deep last year in 3A. They lost to Paradise, which is a school I'd never heard about until last year. Lost to them 10-7. So last year you beat them 14-7, Jim Ned. They came up here in your first every game. Defensive struggle. I remember you telling me our offense is going to get better. I think you told me that for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes, sir.
And then it got better. Looking back at that now, and with what the guys you have coming back, how confident are you that we're not going to be talking 3 or 4 weeks from now about the offense needing to get better?
I think, reps is a cure for everything. I think it was a new system for the kids, and, credit to the kids and the coaching staff for bear claw, tooth and nail, just teaching them as many things as they could on the fly in a short amount of time. Credit to the kids for, buying into what we were teaching them. And sacrificing and going out there and believing in what we could do as a coaching staff.
Had a pretty good security blanket in the backfield last year.
Yes, sir.
A young man who finished out an incredible career, Bobby Ross. I know I wrote about it at some point. Finished as the leading rusher in Estacado history.
Yes, sir.
And quite honestly could be the leading rusher in city history. I don't know if there's any way to track that down. We have to do that at some point.
Yes, sir.
Bobby graduated. He's over in Wichita Falls, a place you know well, in Western State. But the cupboard's not bare. I talked to a couple of your guys the other day, Cedric Ross and Donovan Torres. Cedric is ready to kind of take over for Big Brother and see if he can't do what he's done for 3 years and catch lightning in a bottle on a regular basis.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, Bobby Ross is a kid you don't replace. You just modify and adjust. We do have some senior leaders that are returning and, are taking initiative and owning their team and their role as leaders. And I couldn't ask for a better situation of a group of kids that are just taking the initiative to lead the younger kids and also banding together as brothers and fighting for each other and loving the grind.
And that grind was, we talked about it at the beginning, the grind was a little bit smoother once last year's season ended. Had a lot of guys go play basketball, a lot of guys that ran track, some guys that played baseball. So you had multi-sport guys, but you also had a football group that kind of congealed a little bit as everybody caught their breath. we're going to see the benefits of that pretty quick, I think, when the season gets going. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things you can plan on this fall as we get going on the High School Fan Zone. All of our archive shows can be found on the High School Fan Zone page at doubletsportsnetwork.com. You can download the app at 100.7 The Score mobile app and listen live or listen to podcasts of all the High School Fan Zone shows. A couple of neat new additions here. The West Texas Friday Night Preview will be 6 to 6:30 Friday nights on both 97.3 and 100.7. And the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard will be on those, I believe, will be on both stations 9:30 p.m. to midnight. Coming up on a break, we'll come back with more with Eric Ward in the Matador Fan Zone.
Diving headfirst into Estacado athletics. You're listening to the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back into the High School Fan Zone on Monday night, first High School Fan Zone of the 2025-2026 school year. I'm Randy Rosetta. You're on 100.7 The Score. Before we jump back in with Eric, I'm going to run through the list of who carries who on the radio here in Lubbock. Right here on 100.7 The Score, Lubbock Cooper games will be your home. Friendship will be on Double T 97.3 like they have been for the last several years. Liberty, one of Estacado's district opponents, will be on 93.1 Yes FM. Coronado is on 96.9 The Bull. And Monterey is on 93.7 The Eagle. Our friends across town carry Estacado and Lubbock High games on a regular basis, but you will be able to hear all 7 of the public school teams on the radio. Memorial's schedule is a sub-varsity schedule, so that you won't hear them on the radio during football this season, but they'll be there next year. We'll be talking to Jason Richards here in a little bit when he steps in for his first ever show. Eric, we've talked a lot about the fact that this has been a different year for you. The thing that was cool about last year is, you had the early struggles. Guys gained experience. Now, you lost some guys, but you had other folks who kind of gained experience. And I mentioned Cedric Ross and Donovan Torres and James Bozeman. Those guys have been around. But Darian Walker was a guy who kind of stepped up and took over the quarterback spot about midway through the season.
Yes, sir.
Grew and grew and grew, and now he's had an offseason. What have you seen from him so far?
Complete growth. Monumental growth to be exact. Darian is a kid. He's a very smart kid, very intellectual, and he's a very hard worker. He's been working. He's been working his tail off since the season ended last year, and I credit him. He's always looking for opportunity to get better, and so I credit him in his work ethic and holding it down as a leader and going out there and doing what he can to concrete his role as the quarterback and the spearhead of our team.
I'm going to make sure you don't get in trouble at home. He's got a freshman who's pushing him to make sure that he stays sharp, who happens to share your same last name.
Yes, sir. My oldest son, Jarick, and Darian, they have, a quarterback battle going on, and, I think it makes us better as a whole.
Always.
Iron sharpens iron is what we call it, and competition breeds warriors. And so it's great to see them both out there pushing the envelope and going out there and pushing each other. And, that's what makes our team better.
Now, who's your left-handed quarterback coach?
Rashawn Bell.
There we go, because Jarick is left-handed. That's the first thing I noticed when I saw the photo of him. First of all, he kind of resembles Dad a little bit in stature, but you don't throw it from the wrong side, do you? You throw it.
No, I'm right-handed. He's actually right-handed too. He just do sports with his left hand.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Unique. That's, whatever's working. And I imagine we'll see him, if not this season, we'll see him down the road, because he's got some good genes.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
We mentioned a lot of your guys. Let's talk about your defense. Some of those guys will also be defensive guys. Your defense had to adjust at times. You played the very difficult non-district schedule again. Who are some guys you're leaning on that side of the ball right from the very beginning to see if you guys can kind of set a tone?
When you think of defense, you automatically think of Donovan Torres. He's a competitive kid. He's also a hard worker. He's also a natural-born leader. And so him being on that side of the ball allows us to have faith in what's going to go on and communication-wise. I always tell them the best defense is talk. And so I stress that on both sides of the ball. Make sure you're communicating with your teammates.
I mentioned the schedule. Jim Ned to start with, I believe Hereford, Randall. Who else? Who am I missing? You got
West Plains.
And without even glancing, I believe those three teams all made the playoffs from the 4A district up north.
Yes, sir. Two of them were state semifinalists, if I remember correctly.
You got to thank either William Blaylock or Mike Meeks for welcome to Lubbock. Here's your schedule. Have fun with that.
Yes, sir. But in the grand scheme of things, it's all about doing your 1 of 11 and going out there and competing and playing the best game you can.
If you're going to be a great team, you got to beat great teams.
There you go.
It doesn't matter what level you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
What are some keys right off the bat for you guys? You did win your season opener last year against Jim Ned in a very defensive game. Lurched and sputtered a little bit after that. Just real quick before we get on this break, give me one big key right off the bat.
Trust. I believe relationships is a big part of it. Knowing the kids as individuals and the kids knowing us as individuals and learning to trust each other and going out there and loving each other and going out there and fighting for each other. And
a lot of that in the offseason, that's what you were able to kind of construct and create a foundation. So we're coming up on a break again. Just a reminder, a little bit of a shuffle deck here on the High School Fan Zone. Monday nights are going to be Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty. Tuesday nights will be Monterey and Coronado. Wednesday nights will be Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. It's a little bit different than we've had in the past. Wanted to kind of spread the love and get LISD, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper folks all in on different nights to kind of spread the audience out a little bit. We'll be back after this break on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta, and this is the High School Fan Zone.
Your inside look into Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back to the Matador Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score on this first Monday night of the high school football season in the great state of Texas. We have a very full schedule this first week with no district games. I'm going to run through that real quick and then we'll wrap up with Eric. Thursday night, Friendship goes to Abilene, takes on Byron Nelson at 6 p.m. at Shotwell Stadium. Lubbock High is at home at Lowry Field against Hereford. Friday night, this will be the Hub City Preps game of the week. Lucas Lovejoy at Lubbock Cooper, 7 p.m. at Pirate Stadium. Coronado hits the road for Wichita Falls to face Legacy at 7 p.m. Monterey is at home at Lowry Field against Choctaw, Oklahoma at 7 p.m. These Matadors from Estacado head to the road. They go just past Abilene, take on Jim Ned at 7 p.m. Liberty is at home against New Home, first of 4 home games in a row for the Patriots to start this season. Trinity Christian is also on the road in Abilene against Jewett Leon, which was a team I had never heard of until Riley White told me that. Lubbock Christian hits the road to go play at Wink. And 6-man football, Christ the King is at home against Anton. Kingdom Prep is at home against Amherst. So it's a full schedule of Lubbock High School games this first week. Eric, have you ever been to Tuscola, Texas?
I don't think I have. No, sir.
It's a beautiful little, it's almost a suburb of Abilene. It's becoming a suburb, but they love their football. You know who their most famous player is?
I would say Colt McCoy.
There you go. And I believe his receiver played with him too. That played with
Jackson Shipley.
Yes, I think Dad was the head coach, one was the offensive coordinator.
Yes, sir. And
I'm thinking that they were a 2A school back then. Can you imagine a couple of Texas Longhorn players playing at a 2A high school back then? How good they must have been.
Oh man, those are notable players. I can only imagine.
Yes, that's Nick Saban. I don't know if he'd like me saying this, but that injury against when Texas played Alabama may have changed things because Texas had a shot in that game. So
they did.
You played in some big games down the road here at Texas Tech.
Yes, sir.
But you were just talking. I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit. You were talking about how you're living the dream, being the high school football coach anywhere, but especially at Estacado. Tell me why.
The relationships. We have. I believe we have a special population of kids who love relationships and who love genuine people. And so just being in an environment where I can be myself and love on kids and just teach them the game of football and also build men of character and women and teach them the game of life is just, it's invaluable. And
I think all high school coaches have a chance to positively impact kids. I saw that with you just in that first year. I think you knew I was out there. I came out to one of your first practices, and we tell you, Eric Ward is no nonsense at practice.
No, sir.
I don't know who your high school coach was. I know Jim
Garfield.
He was one of your coaches.
Yes, sir.
I guess you got a little bit of that from him.
A lot of it.
But I would much rather see a coach who tough loves. Second part of that is the key, the love part. I don't think we need to be too gentle with our high school kids right now because they need some direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially dealing with young men. Tough love is, the best love in my opinion because you teach them that life is going to have obstacles and hardships. And through the game of football, there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hills and valleys and peaks and lows. And so just teaching them that, no matter what, you got to stay medium low. Don't let your highs get too high. Don't let your lows get too low. Just stay at a baseline. Take it on the chin and head up, chest out, and keep walking forward.
You got to get a lot of practice in because you've got son number 6 on the way.
Yes, sir.
Man, and you were just telling me you're struggling to come up with a new name.
I mean, after, having 5 boys and expecting a 6th boy, names become harder and harder. I was on the trend of kind of keeping them all shorter, 1-syllable names, but I just can't think of a name for my 6th boy.
That's smart thinking because when you start to get older, you're going to have to run through. You're going to start calling the wrong names.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, but you're too young to be doing that.
Yes, sir. I mean, some of my sons, they're almost the same height. It's kind of funny. Some of them are close in age, and so if I'm not directly looking at them and I'm trying to talk to them, I'll get them confused and I'll just say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I thought you were your brother."
I always wonder if that's why George Foreman named all of his sons George.
Yeah, that's clever thinking.
Just to skip the confusion. I just say George and a bunch of them come running. Well, these Matadors he's learned a lot more names from his players because he knows his players a lot better than he probably did at this time last year because he's had that offseason to get ready. Estacado is going to be a team to keep an eye on. I think they have a chance to be really good. They lose a great player in Bobby Ross. They lose some other guys, but they get it started 7 p.m. Friday at Indian Stadium in Tuscola, Texas against Jim Ned. Ought to be a nice physical slugfest to get things going. As I mentioned, that's over on 1340 AM on our friends down the road, not on ours, but you can listen to them there. We'll get reports on them on the post-game and pre-game high school shows. Coming up on a break, we'll be back with Memorial coach Jason Richards on the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.